off the sunbed he did, and he's saying, "Oh, call me Benjamin." He wasn't even- that's not what Arsenal were about. Arsenal had four defenders who'd kill you and still be able to play football around you.
You wouldn't see Ben White jumping up on Bruno Fernandes' shoulders now.
Well, you might, but it wouldn't be for a corner. It'd be for
he might get
else.
up on him, but he wouldn't. He might be rubbing it in his face. You just don't know what he'd be rubbing in his face.
Do you know what, Ed? I think you could have just summed up Arsenal's team's current ethos is I'm not Ben, I'm Benjamin. That is, in a nutshell, that is them summed up.
They're soft. Imagine me going around saying to people, "Don't call me Ed or Eddie, it's Edward." Like, for fuck's sake, would you stop?
I wouldn't be shocked with that shirt on, fuck's sake.
This was me dad.
Keeping it in London, the highly anticipated West London derby, the world watching. Shane, what did you make of Fulham QPR?
There's only one team in London.
It took me a minute. I was like, what?
Water polo.
Fulham are good.
Brentford, Chelsea. I mean, Brentford are going to play a lot worse than that and win this season, and I think Chelsea play a lot better than that and lose.
Yeah.
Kepa was fantastic.
Mendy.
Sorry.
Jeez.
Kepa was fantastic.
Yeah, he was fucking great on the bench. He was.
Clean sheet.
Yeah, you know what? First, I think Tuchel summed it up in his interview. 66, 65, 70 minutes. We looked like we were going to score a second, third, whatever. And then the last 20 minutes, Brentford just came alive. It was unbelievable. Look, not great to watch as a Chelsea fan, but unbelievable football. All making space for each other, overlapping runs, defenders pushing their midfielders up. Like that defence, your man Pinnock, every time he seemed to get the ball, he was telling the lads, go forward. Yeah. They had confidence that they could get the equaliser. And you know what? On any other day, they would have. Mendy was unbelievable. You know, and like the lads touched on, you see him after every save shouting at the defenders, you know, where were you? What the fuck were you doing? I just had to save another shot. The defenders shouting at each other. But Brentford were unbelievable. Yeah. They were really good. They will stay up. They'll pick points.
Shane, what do you think of the stats of it, right? So Brentford had 17 shots and you had 5. You only had 1 shot on target in the whole game.
Yeah.
You were very defensive against Man City as well.
Yeah.
Are you a little bit worried sometimes? Your defence is unreal.
Yeah.
But
no, I am. But I'm worried because that like I said on the last week's chat as well, we're missing that link between midfield and our forward line. You know, Mount, although he came on the other day, he didn't offer much. Pulisic out, Havertz and Ziyech just haven't cut it. Like, I don't know whether I can't pinpoint it. Whereas the first few games of the season and last year, everything was free flowing. Do you know, Kovacic, when he came off the other day, and he is excellent at that transition. He'll take the ball, he'll make 15, 20 yards, and all of a sudden you are defending. Now you are in the attacking third. Pressure's on the opposition. I'm a little bit worried, but I'm confident that it will come back. We'll see Mount, Pulisic start to get more game time over the next few weeks. Hopefully Pulisic will be back this week. As I said, with Ziyech and Havertz, I don't know. I'm at a loss. They don't offer enough when they are on the pitch. Like as Ed would say, they're too soft. They're pushed off
enough
the
to
ball.
give you a Champions League, didn't he? Poor Havertz.
No, yeah. Listen.
Fuck's sake, what more do you want?
Listen, Ed, don't get me wrong.
No.
Havertz has potential. Do you know what I mean?
No, I think
Havertz and Ziyech.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do things with the ball, and you're like, "Wow, that was excellent." But then they offer you nothing defensively. They don't turn up. They go missing in games. I don't know.
They're the kind of players who need a long run, especially Ziyech. He's started week in, week out at Ajax for years, you know, and he was one of the main men. There's a big step up as well, but Havertz, I think, again, he probably just needs a kick in the arse.
Yeah.
For me, I think Chelsea's issue is finding out what to do with Lukaku. We've all played football, some of us better than others, but if you have a big target man up front, that was aimed at you, Craig, by the way.
I am better than you.
Naturally. No, like if you have this big target man up front, you think differently about it because you know that's a quick outlet. If I'm under pressure, I'll just bang that ball up into the space. He doesn't stretch teams. He's pacey. He's very fast, but he doesn't stretch teams the way Werner does. Werner is offsides, and his stats about his offsides. For me, that's a positive because he's on the edge where he should take a lesson now and take maybe a 5-yard step back. But he's constantly looking to get in behind. And Chelsea were constantly trying to find him getting in behind. Lukaku's not like that. It's into his feet.
No.
You have to learn how to play him. Conte knew exactly what way to play him. Conte wanted him for years. He wanted him at Chelsea previously. Like he wanted him at Juventus as well, as far as a manager knows certain players. Like Ronaldo is the same, probably. We're not playing to his strength to get the maximise out of him. But I think if Lukaku got injured and you actually had a run with, you have your Pulisic back, you have your Havertz, Werner, and Mount, all those, and then the two boys, whether it's Kovacic, Jorginho, or Kante sitting. Chelsea will click again and go back to what they were the second half of last season and play the same style of football and kill teams. I think once Chelsea hit that run of form, either they figure out how to use Lukaku or he gets injured or they just drop him for a couple of games.
They sell him
when
again.
Chelsea hit that, I think when Chelsea hit that, that's when they kick on. And for me, I still think Chelsea are the main contenders for City for the league.
Yeah, look, I agree with what you're saying, and a lot of the what we would say professional commentators, not just us having a chin wag.
Trying to say.
All of them have said, every time
I'm in a shirt, mate. What more professional do you want?
He has his headset on, for fuck's sake. Give him credit.
No tie, mate. No tie.
Shane's in a studio.
Look, you always see him. He's always looking for that ball to pin the defender. And a lot of them have said, he needs to change his game ultimately. He needs to drift a little bit more instead of looking for that ball direct to his feet in the man. I do think it will be altered.
But that's the player you signed. He was always that player. He was totally different. He was slightly different. Not totally different. He was slightly different at Inter Milan, where he ran more with the ball rather than looking for that drop off or spin around. But again, that's because Inter Milan, he scored for fun. Inter Milan played to his strengths. Ronaldo scored more than him in Italy last season. And they didn't play to Ronaldo's strengths, and that's why they done shit and he left them. But I just, I'm not a fan of Lukaku.
I agree. I think
too
United
slow
and Chelsea
for a team like Chelsea who had speed and quick transition and balls breaking at the edge of the box and Mount to drop into it. The same way Lampard did for years with success at Chelsea, just on that breaking ball. You don't get that with Lukaku because teams can get back in behind him quick enough. He's always looking for engagement off a defender. Usually he throws them on their arse, but he's always looking to be touched by a defender. It's not going to give you what you had. Who's not? Who's not?
Mitch, I can see you try how laughing.
I'm looking at it.
It's a strange. Ultimately, he was brought in to score goals, and we need to adapt just as much as he needs to adapt. As you said, we're only 8 games in, so I think give it a little bit of time. As you said, we will hit that run of form, and but look, ultimately, our defense is what we've built upon. We've conceded 3 goals this year. 2 of them have been penalties. Paul Scholes came out and said we have the worst defense in the top 4. I think that's laughable.
I think he smokes weed, to be honest.
He's losing.
I love him. I love him
it's
as
not
a
weed,
player, but he's
crack, man.
terrible. I meant to say crack. I don't know where I said weed. That's how fucking out of touch I am with drugs.
Let's be honest, it's probably the only way you can get through a United game at the minute. So. Quick word on Brentford. The manager is number 1 favourite to be sacked at the start of the season. He's looking like the real deal, isn't he?
What? You really?
He's good. He's good.
Jeez, I thought he would have buying. Maybe, I suppose. Yeah, you're right.
Like the
you
players,
had the same with your manager.
The players he's had to replace, Ollie Watkins and all. And he's found like good replacements. For everyone that's left. The only thing with Brentford is they have to make sure they don't do a Sheffield United or they come up, they do well for a season, and then next year, even Leeds. Like look at Leeds this year. Like they have to be very careful. They have to bring in the right players to make sure that there's no shocks with Brentford next year. Yeah.
Absolutely. Brentford this weekend away at home to Leicester on Sunday. What do you think?
Score draw.
Score draw? Everyone?
Who's at home? Brentford at home? I'll go Leicester.
Well, I think Brentford will get it.
I fancy Leicester's going to beat them this weekend.
Yeah, I think so.
I think they're back.
I think they're back as well. Yeah, I think that will give them a massive boost after the other day.
And Chelsea, the early kickoff Saturday, Norwich. Got to be a home win, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hopefully, you have more than one shot on target in that one, eh?
Yeah. that made for shit reading. Don't get me wrong. Like, from watching the game and then looking at how much we dominated, as I said, for the first 70 minutes, or 65 minutes, like, that's the stats. They don't lie ultimately, do they? You know, we struggled to create a hell of a lot of chances. Yes, we had an offside goal again, but
but that's how good yous are. Yous can play shit and still get the wins. That's what wins the league at the end of the year.
Yeah,
you know,
which is what I mean. Like, you know, I'm not worried that it's not like we haven't scored in games and we're really struggling. We're scoring goals. I'm confident that the defense will stay sharp and stay tight as they have done for the last 9 months. You know, and yeah, I think eventually it'll come good up front. I do. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, if City weren't so bloody good, you wouldn't be concerned at all.
No.
They just look like they're going to win every game, every time. Liverpool, every time they step in the pitch here, they get 4-5-0.
Yeah.
I think Liverpool are our biggest threat. The more I watch, if Liverpool can keep their starting 11 fit. They're going to have the African Cup of Nations. That's the big test
I think that's their downfall. They haven't covered themselves.
But with those 11
moving on to Liverpool, I mean, they look like they're getting in the groove now.
But
another great win the weekend.
Watford,
it was against Watford, but new manager, you know, and they turned up really. They didn't just beat them; they absolutely demolished
them. They walloped them.
Salah, is he the best player in the world at the minute?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. I've been a big fan of him for years. I would have loved someone like him. Imagine him at United. Ed. That work rate.
He'd be playing left back or something.
Yeah. he'd be holding Donny's hand on the bench.
Yeah, he'd be on the bench. He wouldn't even be playing. Imagine him at United. Liverpool learned how to, Klopp, I suppose, built a team around these players. Yeah. He brought in players to fit his mould. Chelsea tried it. I remember Salah ripped his apart for Basel in the Champions League. So he went out and bought him.
Yeah,
done nothing with him. Got rid of him.
Yeah, but you know what? And I said this.
That hurt, Ed. Look at him. He's raging.
No.
That's for you, Harry Maguire.
Gotcha.
When Salah came to, like, he played a bit, you know, and his final ball was shit. He was inconsistent. He was running like a headless chicken. He has, like, progressed with maturity and age, 100%.
Yeah, but the coach who believed him, Mourinho didn't fucking believe him.
No, exactly. Yeah, but like as a fan, when you were watching him give the ball away every time he came on, or hit it 10 yards ahead of himself to run onto it, but he's hitting it out of play for a goal kick. Do you know what I mean? When you're watching that kind of thing, you're looking at him going, you're not Premier League level. But then he went elsewhere. And
he took a massive jump on,
Yeah. Like, he's brilliant now, hands down. I can't believe the transformation, because, as I said, he was shite for us, and now he is the best player in the world at the moment, hands down.
Is there danger Liverpool going to drop off, though? Like you touched on, Craig, African Nations Cup coming up. Mane, Salah, you think if he has a good tournament, it could be there to the latter stages. Mane, same. Is that going to have a big effect on the title race?
I think they'll be tough to score against, because they're going to keep their defence there. And obviously Fabinho and all will come back in, so I don't think they'll concede lots of goals, but they might struggle to score. Firmino, like, he's good, but he needs Mane and Salah.
But that's him finished now for the season, scoring goals. It is, isn't it?
Like, I don't think Jota, Origi, and Firmino are gonna bring anywhere near the same threat as Mane and Salah. So.
No.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of draws in that
but
period.
he's not their standard. Yeah, he could be another season or two. He could step up to Mane's standard anyway. But it only took Liverpool Van Dijk to get injured last season for them to start falling apart, and teams to start thinking we can beat this. And since he's come back, now he's only back for his injury a few weeks, but that aura is kind of gone. Where a striker thought, I'm not going to get by this guy.
Yeah,
they look like they can be got at. They played Henderson and Milner the other day, both holding midfielders. Yeah.
But that was because
they won't get away with that against a bigger team, because if they're missing Fabinho, there's going to be more internationals coming up in November. Fabinho will fly off to Brazil again.
They can be gotten at, though. Like, look, we drew 1-1 with them, and like arguably we were the better team in that first half before
until the red card.
Yeah. We could have been 2-3, even 4 up. There's a couple of chances where a ball could have been played to Lukaku, Mount, but they went for another option. Like it could have been game over before they even got the penalty. So they can be exposed. And Liverpool play this really high line that anybody can get in behind them. If you have wingers or a striker with a bit of pace, I'm telling you now, they can be got at. We've exposed them. You look at Norwich, like Liverpool played this high line for years. Every time they play Norwich, these wide players just seem to get into these goal scoring positions. Like I think they can
kind of put a blueprint down how you can play against Liverpool a couple of weeks back. Or the 3-3 draw with Brentford, was it?
Yeah,
2-3 weeks ago, or before the international window. Yeah, I just don't think their squad is big enough. Never mind strong enough. I don't think it's big enough. There's a lot of reliance on, like I said, Curtis and these young lads coming through. Put them up against the Chelsea or Man City in a big game. If there's injuries, they won't do fucking anything.
Quick word on Watford. Is it going to be a long season for them, or is there 3 worse teams than them in the league at the minute?
Ranieri will be sacked in about a month and a half.
He'll be gone by Christmas. I do think he'll be gone by Christmas. That Pozzo family are fucking ruthless. They're thugs. Like they're ruthless.
They gave a manager who just got them promoted in a really good season.
Yeah,
the bullet after 7 games.
But they were struggling when he came in, and then they got promoted. So if they had him and that kind of play from the beginning of the season, they probably would have, who knows, won the league.
I think a month, 6 weeks. I think he'd be gone.
Yeah, I do. I think they really struggle.
Yeah,
I really do. Well, look at the caliber of player in their squad. Who you've Sarr. I think Sarr is excellent, but one man's not going to carry a team to stay in the Premier League when the rest are.
I think they should have held on to Deeney as agent as he is, but he balled and bottle and character to drag them through games, bully defenders, get that dirty 1-0 win against your Brightons or whoever it is. The teams that may be around them to take points off them. I just don't think their squad is good enough anyway.
I think them
Danny Rose looked like they pulled him out of a bleeding hedge the other day. No, fairness, fair enough, but
he was all over the place.
Dreadful.
Yeah, them and Norwich, I think are done.
I think Norwich will finish bottom. I don't think Watford will finish bottom. You know what? I think this year could be the year that lowest points tally's broken.
Zero points.
I really think Norwich are shit. Like so bad.
They're decent. They're a good championship team. They play nice football, but there's no bite about them whatsoever. There's no killer instinct with them to see out and manage any sort of a result in the Premier League.
Yeah. They're away to Everton Saturday. What are we thinking?
I think
I fancy to get a draw myself.
Yeah, Watford.
Yeah,
I think Benitez will have enough there to get the win at home.
Yeah,
Everton are very inconsistent. They're not great.
He won't be happy after getting beaten by West Ham, will they? The other day, Everton.
Oh, and Decore's out injured now for like 8 weeks or something, isn't he?
Yeah. Right, that's
and is Calvert-Lewin back, or is he still out as well?
He's still out, isn't he?
Yeah.
Carlson. No, look, Everton should still beat Watford. So Watford look like a beaten team already.
Right, yeah. Well, we'll move on to the best of the rest. City, is there any point in touching on them? They looked great in first gear against a poor Burnley side, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I'm just
we were always going to win that game. It didn't matter what 11 he put out. They were always on it, so...
A couple of teams who are absolutely flying at the minute. First, Wolves picks up a great win against rivals Villa.
Yeah, that's a big win. Big win.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're doing really well at the minute. I mean, they're 3 on the bounce. They've won now. Will they be looking to Europe? If you've got Arsenal and Spurs looking like they're dropping out, do you think it's realistic?
Their squad's not deep enough. They new manager. They'll probably they might. Traore's going to want to bounce, and Neves is going to want to bounce sooner or later. They might lose people in January as well.
I don't think they'll lose people in January. I think they'll look for Europe on the basis of what Mitch has just said. You know, Arsenal, Spurs struggling. there's positions there to be won. Everton inconsistent.
When you say Europe, do you mean Europa League or this new conference?
Conference League, whatever it is. Either way, it's
if they got that, I think they're happy. Yeah, it's revenue.
No, leave that. Yeah, that Conference League is United. Don't start.
Their final to lose.
No, look, I like Wolves. I think Nuno left a good footprint there. You know, it's great to see Jimenez back. Traore, he's inconsistent. He's great on his day. He's shite other days. You know, I like Connor Cody. You know, Seiss, I like him. He's a good defender. He pops up with a goal. Great for the fantasy football team.
And they got the Korean lad. He's come in and he's getting goals in every game.
Like Salzburg. He comes from Salzburg. No,
he's a big, strong fella. That, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they lost their first 4 games and won their last 4, so they're on a good run now.
No, I like Wolves. Yeah. I think that result, the derby, like that Midlands derby, like massive result for them. Yeah.
And they travel the weekend to Leeds. Leeds, I mean, they're looking like a side. I don't know. They're a bit lost at the minute. I'd say they've got 3 goals. Yeah, 3 goals in the last 6 games. It's a bit. I would say the goal return is worrying. They rely a lot on Patrick Bamford. Do you think they're going to be in danger this year, or have they got enough?
No, I think
you think they're going to be in the mix for relegation?
I think they have enough to stay up.
They'll be down there, but I think they'll beat the teams that are around.
Found out. Yeah. They're too expansive. They don't just attack with their top 4 or 5 players. No, the defenders to be in the semicircle. Do you know what I mean? Like the space.
Players are bad there defensively. United fucking put 5 past in the last 2 games. I think we played.
I think
And to make things worse, we said, here's Dan James.
You gotta feel sorry for Dan James though. He was literally sold just to accommodate Ronaldo getting the shirt number he wanted. Cavani would get his favourite shirt number. That's fucking pathetic.
The teams are just too open. I think they're too going home.
They'll be down there, but I think with quality like Bamford and Rafinha and all, like I think they'll stay up, but they'll be down there.
And we've also got another high flyer, Brighton, 4th in the league. I know it's only 8 games, but listen, that's more than 20% of the season. Are they going to be anywhere near the top come the end?
But then they go and draw with Norwich. Do you know what I mean?
That's of course.
Like they'll hit a run. They'll hit a run. They'll struggle. They'll hit a patch of about 5-6 games where they'll struggle. I think they should be looking for a top half finish.
Yeah, if they finish top 10, I think that'd be massive for them. Massive progress as well from where they were 2 seasons ago.
Cool. Yeah. And to be fair, Graham Potter has come out this week and told the fans naturally to sort of readjust their expectations. Yeah. He said they're aiming to be a top 10 team, which would indicate he doesn't think they're a top 10 team at the minute.
No.
Yeah.
I like Maupay is a quality player, and then they'll probably be in the running for the top scorer of the season with Shane Duffy, but
for own goal.
I knew he was going to get in there somewhere.
That's everyone so far. I've got Shane Duffy. But no, like they're not going to stay there. They're not going to get Europe. But if they finish top 10, it's a good season. You know what I mean? It's a hard league.
I would assume it could be a big loss from if anything happens there.
Yeah. Of course, and as well, he's always one of them players who I think is a danger. Come January, he plays for a side. That means he's not cup tied in Europe. So you always get a lot of the big sides who are still in European competition in January. Nicking someone like that because it bolsters their squad in Europe. But
apart from his extracurricular activity that he does, he is the exact player I would take to United.
That might have just knocked 20-30 million off his price tag.
Put it onto his solicitor's fee though.
Newcastle will be in for him. We'll pay your legal fees.
They could do a hell of a lot worse, I tell you.
Newcastle won't give you a shit. Who owns them?
They'll be signing Mark Bosnick, Adrian, Adam Johnson, Gilby Sigurd.
The best, yeah.
The same as a Saint compared to their owners.
Bernard
they travel to Man City the weekend. Is anyone giving them a chance?
Brighton? No.
Yeah.
No.
Not a chance.
They put up a fight, but they'd be wiped away.
Yeah.
That'd be the banker this weekend then, Craig.
100%.
And that'd be the one you lose on your accumulator.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're 1-9.
64 teams came in. See you later.
Last thing I wanted to touch on just before we go.
Yeah.
There's a thing come out today. about Newcastle sponsorship. 18 clubs have voted against it. 1 abstained, Man City.
Shock.
But the idea, personally, I do sort of understand. I feel like financial fair play is something that clubs are trying to get around rather than we're trying to applaud it, because in reality it keeps somewhat of a level playing field in that, I mean, football already, the gulf between the rich and the poor teams is massive. But it keeps somewhat teams a bit more grounded. So I can sort of understand that the whole idea of it, I believe, is so they couldn't sponsor themselves through their own companies, create inflated sponsorship and spend more. Yeah. What do you make of it? Are they being hypocritical, other owners, or
no? It's fantastic.
It needs to happen.
It's about time. It's about fucking time. We all know from sitting in these positions.
It's all right now. Chelsea have all their players, isn't it?
No,
no one else can have it now.
Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, and all the money United have spent over the last 10, 12 years.
All the money they took out of United.
Listen. No, it's about time it's happening, because if you look at it, when financial fair play, when they first were introduced in this, every team, Chelsea, United, Arsenal, the so-called big teams back then, were all like, right, we need to now balance the books. Here's how we're going to do it. And they all made a very conscious effort. City came out. City spent millions. City were told, you're going to be sanctioned. You could be possibly kicked out of Europe. This could happen. I know. Etihad are going to sponsor Manchester City for 600 million a year, and there we go. Problem solved.
Which is partly why, as well, this new rule has been passed because of previous.
Exactly. Like Man City should have been kicked out of Europe a couple of years ago when this all came out, when they were in breach of rules, and then all of a sudden they had this new sponsorship income. Which
PSG do the same, but then they went and sponsored UEFA as UEFA's biggest sponsor in the Champions League's biggest sponsor.
Money talks. We all know money talks, and this kind of thing needs to be implemented. Like it shouldn't have been allowed in the first place. I remember when the Man City thing happened. And you're thinking, sure, any club with a lot of money, where their owners own businesses, will just do this now. It's a legitimate loophole. So, but I think it's about time.
It's shady. You look at Everton, like their owner is desperate to spend cash, but he's trying to do it without breaking these rules. And Everton fans are always giving out. Huh?
I'm sure.
I know. Everton fans.
Why would you not? Like, Mike Ashley done the right thing. He promoted his businesses by changing James's Park to Sports Direct Arena. Yeah. This is a business to these guys. They don't give a shit about the football.
Look where that got Newcastle.
It got him 320 million richer. He doesn't give a shit about Newcastle. It is shady, but it's been happening for years.
There has to be some sort of a cap. You can't just have these lads throwing $1 billion in sponsorships. It's just not fair for like anyone outside the top 5 of the league. And we had a chat about what has happened in the Italian league and the German league and stuff like that before. They have to be very careful. It's a shit league if it's only 3 teams that are competing every year. The Premier League, the top team can drop points to the bottom team, so they need to protect that a little bit.
But more and more, I think you're right.
I think they need to be. Sorry, Ed. Sorry, go on.
No, I think more and more these billionaires will come into the Premier League, and the Premier League will be the Super League, if you want, where there's 10 teams who are all worth X amount of billions. And they're all bringing in all these superstar players from everywhere. And then the drop is the smaller guys, your Brentfords, your... what's the thought? Don't worry, Mitch, Fulham aren't
they're down in
amateur football.
They'll be playing in the YouTube leagues in a few years.
What I was going to say was, they do ultimately need to be careful about this as well, because if you think about it, in the late 90s, early 2000s, Italy, the Italian league, Serie A and La Liga in Spain, that's what these guys were doing. They were taking massive loans and pumping massive money into these clubs to bring in these players, especially in Italy in the late 90s. You had teams buying Crespo and Buffon and all for 40 million, 50 million back then. That was unheard of. And now all these clubs are in financial turmoil. So there will come a time where, say, Newcastle, the sponsorship deal, billions here, billions there. They have massive wages and massive outgoings. And then all of a sudden, what happens? These decide to leave, or head of the consortium fucking gets beheaded or something and they pull out. Like Newcastle are in the shit then. They're relegated to, I don't know, the National League and, no fucking money. You know, I just think it's a slippery slope if you start going down that road. But that's why
the English FA don't have the balls to do that. The English FA will give them a financial penalty, which is pointless. You know, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Here's a penalty for a company who's worth 30 billion. Whereas in Italy, they relegated Juventus for fixing matches.
Yeah,
it didn't matter they were Juventus. You're gone.
But also in Italy, you know, if you had any kind of financial discrepancies or administration, you were relegated as well. Sure, you look at Parma years ago. You know, they weren't.
Fiorentina were the same. They all had to fold and start all over again.
Yeah.
So is it important that they get this in there now? I mean, it's sort of like closing the stable door after the horse has bolted, because you've got billionaire owners who have come in and changed football, and this the English football landscape is completely different now to what it used to be. But is it important they get it in now? Because like you said, with the TV revenue deal and the billions and billions of pounds in TV money, not just that, merchandise, everything, it's now a viable business for billionaires to come into, and it's only going to get bigger, let's face it. The Burnleys eventually drop out of the league. Those types of teams. Norwich can't compete at the minute. Can't even get a foothold in the league. Is it important they get it in now and be done with it?
But what's to stop the likes of Abramovich buying, who sponsors Chelsea, Yokohama Tires or something? What's to stop him going and buying Yokohama Tires or Tree, whatever it is, and then setting up sponsorship? Okay, we're going to give you a new 5-year deal.
Well, that's what this rule is. That he wouldn't be allowed to do that.
That the owner can't have anything got to do with it? Or
no, I think what they're trying to say is that he can't go and inflate a sponsorship that's way over the market value. For instance, they can't go and sponsor Newcastle Stadium for, like you say, 600 million when it's not worth that in terms of, I don't know about sponsoring anything for 600 million, 600 quid even. But I assume once it's over the market rate or whatever, that's inflating the price, which then enables them to spend more via financial fair play. But one thing I found interesting was Newcastle voted against it, obviously. But surely, if you wasn't planning to do that, if your own company is going to go and sponsor your own club, but it's going to be at the market rate, there is no problem. So that is obviously what they must have been planning to do instantly.
That's straight away. It's the first thing I'd do if I owned the club.
It's right.
You're going to rename the stadium, and it's free advertising anytime. You're going to make more revenue off this as the owner as well. So stop calling it James's Park. It's Sport Direct Arena. Every sign around it, every time it's on the FIFA PlayStation game, there's naming rights. There's everything that's coming in. It's free money for them, so it doesn't matter what they spend on it. They'll make the money back somehow. But it is wrong. It's not right that they can do it.
They might not get any money.
United are never going to sell the name of Old Trafford. That's the only reason I say
they might not make any money off FIFA in the next few years, because FIFA's not even going to be called FIFA anymore.
Yeah. Again, that's another conversation about them looking to cash in as well, isn't it?
Everyone's on a take. Except us.
Yeah, right.
Well, Mitch, to be fair, if Fulham get into the Premier League, that's an attractive club to buy because it's London. It's a good location, do you know what I mean? Well, it is though. All those London clubs could end up being huge. If you have big billionaires, I mean, they might not be the Chelsea or anything, but they could be mid-table teams consistently.
They're mid-table in the Championship.
I don't know where this is going.
Yeah, Mitch,
you're in the big Champions League game tomorrow night for you, Mitch. Who are you playing, Cardiff?
He doesn't know. He hasn't looked yet.
He hasn't checked. He hasn't checked the results. Never mind who they're playing. He checks the results when it comes in.
Mitch,
Cardiff tomorrow.
We'll give you a chance to chat about Fulham, right? We'll finish with Fulham. So you won at the weekend. Was it 3-1?
4-1.
4-1.
You are up to third now.
Yeah.
Do you reckon you have it in you to get back?
We'll win the league.
Yeah.
I think
we'll scoring lots of goals.
Bold.
Kiss of death tomorrow. We're going to get turned over by Cardiff.
Mick McCarthy.
But it's not that, whether I think it or not, with the squad that we've got and the money they're probably paying players, we haven't lost a single. Well, we lost Anguissa to Napoli, but other than that, the whole first team squad's intact. Other than the loan signings we had, so they're obviously getting paid Premiership money. I mean, if that side isn't winning the Championship, then there's something wrong.
Well, I think he's a get back.
At least.
Yeah, automatically.
I think yourself and Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And fucking West Brom every time as well.
Yeah. But
are you happy enough with how it's going?
It's all right. I mean, I think we've suffered a lot. We've got a lot of players on when the international breaks come up. We've got a lot of players who play for USA and Jamaica and travelling here, there, and everywhere. And I think that does have a bit of an effect. We've got a lot of internationals in the side. But I mean, it's a long old season in the Championship. Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday.
They have the experience of doing it. That's what stands them. It's just whether Silva continues showing a bit of bottle and going the way it is. I think Fulham will be okay. Yeah.
What do you reckon for Fulham Cardiff? What's the predictions?
Fulham home or away?
Fulham home.
Home. Serious pressure on Mick McCarthy at the minute.
Yeah, I think Fulham are too strong. I think 2-0. 2-1. Both teams always score in the fucking Championship, don't they?
Yeah.
2-1.
Cardiff are 20th. They've conceded 22 goals. So, and Fulham are scoring lots of goals.
So they're nailed on for a win at Craven Cottage tomorrow.
2-0. Both teams won't even score.
Mitch, what's your prediction?
Fulham 4-0.
Oh man.
To be fair, Fulham
on this fella.
Fulham are scoring lots of goals. So.
I'm completely different when I'm watching the game. Don't worry about that. Just giving it the big into the camera.
That's it.